It was early morning. I was going on one of my walks down to the water. There's a channel in between the beach and the bay, where sometimes men fish side by side in silence, touting chlorine buckets and dangling shiny plastic lures. I'd picked a mango off a tree during my walk. I needed somewhere to eat it where no one would judge me for pawing at the meat beneath the skins with my hands and teeth, juices dripping down my face like some kind of feral animal.
This may be gonna sound a little bit weird. I know, especially because of all the other things that have been going on these days, but I'm having a problem with frogs.
Not sure why I was so concerned about decorum at this point. The plan was, I was going to rinse it off in a fountain, sit in the grass somewhere by myself, and go to town, regardless of who might be watching. Then I quickly realized there were more people about than ever, each looking for their own moment to themselves, pinging about like a dot on a GPS map without regard for anyone else. Single-minded, bliss-drunk navigators. A bunch of heat-sensing drones and Lululemon gear and neon sneakers bouncing off every surface in what looked like a free-for-all parkour orgy, blazing down the same path without an end in sight.
You know those little chirping tree frogs that come out after it rains?
I hurried down to the water with my mango, newly rinsed. The hues of the fruit, purple, red, and green, blended like a sunset. The skin was giving into my touch, ripe and ready to go.
Now, I guess because they've been cleaning the streets now, and one or two times a day, used to be streets we could come by on maybe once a week. Brush all the leaves and the litter away, but now they got these big industrial trucks. And they're coming one or two times a day and disinfecting everything with chemicals.
Thankfully, there were less people in my usual spot. The sun was rising into vivid pastel hues. Somehow the clouds still carried on. I gnashed into the mango, sucking the sugary juices out of it, chewing with the dumbest look of satisfaction on my face, picking at the pieces of yellow meat stuck in between my teeth, rubbing my tongue over my lips for every last taste of sweetness.
Streets are clean, that's true, but we're not even supposed to go outside unless for food or in the case of an emergency, so I don't really understand who they're cleaning the streets for. And these chemicals they're using, bleach or whatever it is, it's killing the grass and the bugs and the little critters. They're freaking out and they're scurrying right into our houses.
I heard loud splashes, a shout, then hushed voices keeping each other quiet, sound of rubber hitting a light wake. I knew, but I wasn't sure until I saw their faces. There must have been 14 of them on the raft, all wearing inflatable devices that were badly patched together. Their faces were sunburnt and chapped. They looked like ghosts, their hair matted by seawater. A little girl clung to her father. I couldn't tell who was being comforted out of the two of them. All of their faces were the oddest mix of pride and fear I'd ever seen.
Now look, I don't mind the chirping of a couple of tree frogs in the night, you know, sounds of nature and all that. But let me tell you, there's a big difference between the chirping of a couple thousand tree frogs and the chirping of one or two frogs in the night after a rainstorm.
They saw me. The paddles stopped. One man ducked as if he could hide. I waved. I didn't know what else to do. Slowly they approached, gliding over the water, like abandoned disciples unsure of who to follow next. The eldest among them, an older woman barefoot in tatters, stepped onto the coral rock without pause. She reached out with grasping hands as two men tried to prop her up. The minute she was close enough, she kissed the rocks. My heart raced. They all needed to get out. They all needed to move as quickly as possible and find somewhere to go. Somewhere far from the scrutiny of the fitness junkies and the pleasure hordes. Hopefully they had a plan. The others quickly rushed out, two at a time. They scattered and mimicked the pace of the people around them. It amazed me how quickly they disappeared. The last of them were the father and daughter. They seemed to be a bit nauseous, slowly finding their balance. The raft buoyed in place, circling itself.
And those suckers, they start chirping as soon as that sun goes down. And they don't stop until that sun comes up the next morning.
The two of them walked right towards me. The little girl was missing a shoe. Her foot dangled out from his embrace.
Now I can't sleep. I can't concentrate. I can't even hardly hear the thoughts inside my own head.
Oye, Sere, ¿cómo llegamos a South Beach? ¿Estás aquí? You're already here, I said. Es diferente de lo que esperaba. I wondered how he saw it all in his mind before this. Dios te bendiga. Felices Pascuas. Y tú también. I had forgotten it was Easter, but it seemed polite to wish him the same. Oye, permiso. ¿De dónde sacaste este mango? Por ahí, en los árboles allá. Gracias. De nada.
You can't catch them. They're much too small, and they're much too quick. And the traps don't work, the roach traps or the mouse traps. So I'm stuck. I'm stuck here in my house, same house that I grew up in quarantine, with about 10,000 uninvited tree frogs.
His daughter smiled at me over his shoulder, her tiny hands clinging onto his back as he climbed upwards. His sandals finally gripped onto the white, hot pavement. I followed them with my eyes as he carried her through the people. I couldn't tell if he was looking around in wonder or paranoia, but perhaps it was some combination of both. What was left of my mango was gone, devoured by ants. The raft was floating away from where it landed, drifting with the current. I hoped somewhere there would be shelter and food, a family waiting for them with open arms. I hoped somehow they would still believe it was better here than where they came from, and someone, someday, would prove to them that they were right.
Now, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Wait. You hear him? Yep. Chirp, 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 chirp. That's them. Started a little early.